All right, everyone. So today's a Red Day recap, and I didn't realize it, but I bought a ticket to take a ride on the roller coaster today, and the name of the roller coaster was Rent, Rent. I ended up trading 5 different stocks today. I'm red on 3, I'm green on 2, but we're gonna start by going over Rent. It was my first trade and my last trade of the day. And this is the stock that sent me on my biggest swing. So, on my very first trade on Rent, I jumped in at $18.65 pre-market at about 8:30 a.m. So, if we look at Rent, this was a stock that gave us a nice move yesterday, but if you recall, it wasn't for me super easy to trade, and the reason was because it had fairly large spreads and some fairly big whips where it would pop up and then in one candle it would flush $1 a share. This candle right here, which was near the top, had a high of 20, nearly 24 and a low of 20. That's a 4-point range in one candle. Okay, so this is what we were dealing with yesterday. Now, it ended up holding up pretty well as the day went on. And pre-market this morning, I pulled it up and I thought, okay, I see it could be worth it. So my first trade on it was, let me get my drawing tool. It was right here. I got in right there as it broke through 1850 and the pre-market high, which was 1869. I bought 1,500 shares. I started with 500. I added another 500, so I scaled up. It ends up going up to a high of 19, which was a decent little trade, and it ends up squeezing up to a high of 1950. So on my first trade, I made $400 on it. And then I got back in it at, let's see. So this was at 8:30 a.m. So that was my first trade, $400. And then I got back in at 1940, but I inadvertently bought 2,500 shares when I meant to buy 500. And that was right here. And it's just stupid, but I just had the wrong order size typed in. And anyways, it drops and I gave back the profit I made and I was down. I gave back everything I made on it. So I was actually up. I think I was up $25 on it. So, basically was flat on the day. And that was at about 8:37. So I started the day, I sat down a little after 7, but we didn't have anything good early. So no trades, no trades, no trades. And then took this first trade on Rent at 8:30, broke the ice, gave it all back in the second trade. All right. So as you know, what I'm doing right now is I'm capping myself at 5,000 shares max position until I build the cushion first of $1,000 of profit. Today, I never got the cushion, so I never took more than 5,000 shares. However, 5,000 shares of a stock of this price range is enough to do some serious damage, and that's what happened to me. So at the open, all right. So I had these trades here. So as of this point right here, we'll get the whiteboard out and we'll do sort of a tracker on my P&L. So first trade was up $400, and then second trade was red. And I think I was maybe down $25 on the day. Okay, so down 25 on the day, minus 25. Okay, no big deal, but a little annoying. Okay, next trade was MNDR. I ended up losing on this one. So MNDR was an IPO from a couple days ago. And I saw, again, kind of holding up pre-market. So I was like, okay, I was kind of watching it right here for the breakthrough 1145. It, breaks through 1145. And so I was like, okay, here we go. I bought 2,500 shares. No, sorry. I bought, how many shares did I buy this? I bought 1,500 shares of this at the high right here of about 1289, looking for the break, 1189, looking for the break at 12. And it just instantly rejected. I lost $700 on that. A 50-cent loss on 1,500 shares. All right. So now the P&L is taking a little bit of a step down. I'm now down minus 750, or about 800. And I'm like, all right, I'm not moving in the right direction. Now I'll reveal my ending P&L for the day at the end of this episode, or in a few minutes. So INDO drops. Now it ends up on this candle dumping down to 10 and then ripping and halting up. But I had no interest in touching it because right at the open, we saw a 300,000 share seller come out and sit at 1150 on the offer. And I was like, if there's sellers that big this early, I don't want anything to do with this stock. So down 700 on MNPR, didn't touch it again. Then we had rent. So the market opens, and because yesterday we did have this really strong squeeze at the open on rent, I was sort of wondering if that might happen again today. And in fact, it did. And this is what's really just frustrating. Had the right idea and managed to lose on it. So first trade on rent at the open, I got in at 19, just under 19. Let's see. So let me show you. Where was this trade? So this was at the open. I bought, let's see, right here, 2,000 shares at 19.45. It drops to 18.55. I'm down almost $2,000, and I stopped out right here at 19 for a $1,000 loss. Now I'm down 1,700, minus 1,750 approximately. So now I'm like, golly, all right, moving in the wrong direction. I got to be careful. It ends up coming back up, and it rips through 1950 and goes to 20. I added at 20 right here, and it pops to 2050, but comes right back down to 20. And I was like, did I just add too high? And so I sold at like $20.30. On that trade, I made a small profit, but it wasn't a lot. It then goes up to 21, pulls back. I took a scalp here on the break of 21, and that ended up being a decent trade right up here. And I actually got myself, as we squeezed up to this halt, just about flat on the day. So I was still red, but almost recovered. Okay, so here we're going to have a little recovery. So still red, but, making a little recovery. Then on resumption, it pops up to 24, it dips down, and I bought the dip at 23 right here with 500 shares. It goes a little lower. I add another 500 at 22.50, and then it flushes to 21. And I ended up stopping out because I was like, well, this is obviously just going way too low. And now I'm down $1,900. $1,900 right here. So, moving in the wrong direction. It comes back up, and I ended up adding back. Let me show you. So there were two more trades here. So I took this trade right here and got caught in that false breakout right there. I lost $1,000 on that trade. I thought we were going to curl back up. I lost another 1,000 on that trade. So now I'm down, took another loss. Now I'm down 3,200. So $1,300 loss. It's going to be hard to, anyways. And then I got back in right here for the break of 24.50, and I lost another 1,500 on that drop. Now I'm down 4,600. 4,600 was my low point today, minus 4,600. Now my daily max loss is 5,000. I was feeling really frustrated. Was I feeling emotionally hijacked? I would say no. In this moment, I would say no, but I was frustrated. I was feeling an emotional response. I was like, man, this is annoying, right? I should have stopped. Maybe, I was kind of like, I don't know, should I have just, this cut trade kind of, started the spiral on MNPR. Part of me was like, why are you even messing with this? Doesn't have fresh news. It's a continuation setup. These can be really tricky. And now all of a sudden I'm down 1900, I'm down 3200, I'm down 4600. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is becoming a big red day. Now, my last red day was in March. So it was at the end of last month that I had my last red day. So I've had a nice little streak here without any red days. And I'm trying not to get fixated on being worried about breaking my green streak, because that doesn't matter. The goal for this month was to keep the red days small, if I can, but to keep my emotional composure and to not have a day where I spiral. This having several consecutive losses feels like starting to spiral. Fortunately, I did have a win in there, and there might have been a small win somewhere in here too, but it was very small relative to the losses. Like I had a winner on ALLR, and it was $23. So it was like, I just was not getting nice green trades. ALLR on this squeeze here, I made $23. So I was just really having a hard time getting dialed in. So anyways, I was like, all right, you know what? I'm done. Like 4,600, no reason to lose more. I'm gonna be done. And then it's like a second later, it's going up to $25. And I'm like, this is the moment where I was like, okay, what do I do here? Do I just, do I accept defeat, or do I get back in? And so what I ended up doing on this, I added back at 24.35, right? Basically, it popped up to 25, it dipped down, and I said, I'm going to take a starter at 24.35, and I'm going to just hold for a second. So I'm in at $24.35. I bought 1,000 shares. And then it goes up to 25, it goes to 26, and it halts up at 26.50. And I took some profit off the table. I was like, okay, there we go. That was a good trade. That got me recovered to minus 3,200, roughly. I'll just 3,200 approximately. So I made back 1,400. So there was a little $1,400 winner there off the low. Okay, I'm like, nice. You know what? Hey, that's good. And I sort of said to myself, right now, you're still going to have a red day. So don't get it, just put it out of your mind that that you're going to recoup the loss entirely. But this is a good opportunity. And if you can manage your risk and get a couple small trades, you'll soften the loss on the day a little bit. And that was kind of my mindset. So we ended up halting up. On resumption, it opens and it squeezes up to a high of 28.90. As it breaks through, and this was, let me check the timestamp on this. So it opens here, it dips down, and I added at $27.27, 500 shares for a dip and rip. That's 27, and I added another 500 at 26.97. So that's right down here. And it ends up ripping almost immediately up to 28. And I said, okay, let's see what this wants to do. I added a total here on this one of 500, 500, 1,000, 500, 1,500, 500, and 500. And then I just gave it a second and I sold as it squeezed higher with my best exit at 28.59. The high of day on this was 28.90. So from here to here, I made $4,000. So there's my P&L on the day. Down $656, up 178 on rent, and recovering from minus 4,600 to down 650 on these two trades right here, from here and then adding and to here. And it's such a shame because I totally had the right idea with this from my first, entry here, but I got stopped out and then it rips, right? And then I add too high. We get this big sell-off. I just fumbled the whole thing. I fumbled the whole dang thing. And, I was looking on the 1 minute chart and I noticed at the open, this volume profile, light volume green candles, high volume red candles, right? MACD crossed over right here. This, I think, was like my last trade for a minute. Or no, I think this was the trade I took. No, I don't think I took this one. MACD was sort of crossing over there. But then, this, I thought we were pulling away, rejected, and then it goes. Right idea, just not great timing. Is that because it was a continuation setup and not fresh news? I don't know. I'm really not sure. But man, I just felt like I couldn't get out of my own way. So as I'm sitting here down $650 after those couple of trades right there, part of me was like, well, I still can't increase my max position size. I'm still red on the day, so I'm still capped at 5,000 shares. But the fact is, 2,000, 3,000 shares of this stock carried a lot more risk than, like I still capped myself at 5,000 shares on ALLR. This is a $3 stock. I capped myself on 5,000 shares on EZGO. Now, on both of them, I didn't really make any money, but the thing is, I'm not good at moderating myself when it comes to share size sort of on my own. Like I need to have a restriction that I apply. And so for me, telling myself, I'm not going to trade with anything more than, this max position of 5,000 shares until I'm over, I've made my first $1,000 of profit on the day. That's a very easy black and white rule for me to follow. But as you know, the reality is trading 5,000 shares of a $25 stock is very different from 5,000 shares of a $3 stock. And today's a day where with slightly bigger, with 2,000 share positions, 3,000 share positions, I managed to, dig myself a hole. That was from yesterday, of $4,600, which I really wanted to avoid. I actually was sort of thinking that with this cap of 5,000 shares, it might be possible that I wouldn't actually really have red days of more than, $2,500. But this is an important kind of reminder here that if you're trading that kind of size on this price range and you're having candles where the individual candles have 2-point ranges, you could be up or down 10 grand, on 5,000 shares. So I don't know. I mean, the fact is, I know that if I looked at my metrics just from the last, just from this year, just for instance, we'll just look at this year. Look at my metrics from this year, and we'll look at, what are we going to look at? We're going to look at detailed, and then we're going to look at price and volume. So, where have I made the majority of my profit this year? It is on stocks under 10. In fact, I haven't made money this year on stocks in a significant way over $20. Now, I did have a little profit here, $10,000 in this column, of 50 to 100. But 20 to 50 has not been easy for me. So this is going to be another one that falls in the $20 to $50 price range where I've got $78 of profit. But I nearly had $4,000 of losses on it. At this point, looking at these metrics, I would almost be tempted to say don't touch anything below 2 and don't touch anything above 20. But I think it's also important to recognize that this is a current period in time. And if we go back to, a bigger period of time, that's $1.2 million of profit on stocks over 20. There's another 250 there, 260. There's another 400. This is, $2 million of profit on stocks over 20. And this is of $12 million. So like 18% of my profit, I'm just give or take, I don't know, is approximately on stocks over 20. Now, yeah, is the majority 3.2 plus 4.2, so 7.5 plus 2. So $10 million, 90% or whatever, 80%, 82% is between 2 and 20. So in any case, this is where I should really focus my attention. And it's actually possible today, you could maybe argue that by focusing so much attention on rent, I missed some of the easier opportunities on INDO or on EasyGeo, which, were cleaner, but you can only focus on so many stocks at the same time. So there's one argument for focusing on the 80% where I make the most, and just as like where you put your focus. But in any case, I came very close to this being a max loss red day. I was able to recover those losses, most of them. It's still a red day, down $656. Plus, I've got some fees and commissions, but I didn't trade big size in total shares really today, so my commissions won't be too bad. So it's a small red day. It'll be the first red day for the month of April. And in a way, although I could sit here and keep looking at opportunities, for the rest of the day to try to make $600 and preserve the green streak, I don't want to do that. And I would actually rather lock up a red day and end the streak so I don't have the pressure of it. Because the whole idea with this month was to avoid emotional hijack and to stay disciplined. And although I came very close to crossing max loss today, I was able to recover from it with, I think, a good degree of composure. If that last trade on rent had been, let's just say, for instance, I took 5,000 shares, that I would say would have been an emotional trade. Because basically I already was down 4,600. If I punched this for 5,000 shares right here and it did yet another jackknife, I'd be down 10 grand on the day. And then I'd be like, yep, I lost emotional control. So the fact that I went in this with a conservative start of 1,000 shares, was I risking crossing my max loss and having to officially throw in the towel? I was, for sure I was, but I took 1,000, thinking that if we're finally breaking this level, we should pull away. And I was right on that. I eventually had the right idea. Unfortunately, wasn't able to recoup all of the mistakes I made. Although I was never up more than $400 on rent today, for what it's worth. So, well, actually, that might not be true. I actually might have been, before I took this loss here. But nonetheless, the point remains the same, that this was not a moment of emotional hijack, and it's signified by my ability on that trade right there to take small size of 1,000. And then when I was adding, I was only adding 250 share blocks, adding. Got back in with the dip with 500 shares. And yes, I did scale up a little bit on that trade, but at that point I just had a $1,400 winner. I was moving back in the right direction, didn't exceed my max loss. Didn't buy this dip. I was like, nope, I don't even know. I remember what happened back here. And then once it started to shape up, I got that. Where was that last trade? Now I'm trying to remember. No, I think actually that was just the last trade right there, and that was it. So, and I didn't grasp to look for something else just to desperately try to get myself back to a P&L of green, because being red $656 actually doesn't matter. It's not a big deal. So, if we reflect back on the P&L for the week right here, last week was 14,000. This week, 14,000, right? So I gave back 600 today, plus some commissions. Doesn't matter. It's a solid day. Obviously, no trades on Saturday and Sunday. I don't know why they even put it in there. But anyways, that's it for me. So monthly P&L, $28,000 minus 656 today. No big deal. Let's stay focused. I'll be back at it first thing, live streaming, of course, Monday morning. And I'll remind you, as always, that trading is risky. My results aren't typical, so manage your risk, take it slow. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I hope you hit that subscribe button and watch some of my recent uploads, because I think there's some really solid stuff here. And I'll see you guys back at it on Monday.